time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Hey guys, how's it going? Underground Geek here. So I'm going to try to do this in my lap here with this book. It's 80 pages, so it's kind of a bigger book. So maybe it'll sit still a little bit better than like a regular floppy. But I really liked this book. It was fun and interesting. At the same time, it didn't really tie into much else. So you could read it without knowing, you know, like a lot about the character. And so I really liked that. It was just like a one-shot, good comic book for you to enjoy. And it's very fun because, you know, you've got a good writer, you've got a good artist, and also you got to think about the value here. Okay, you're getting 80 pages. A normal book is like 20-something pages. It's $8, but most of the time you can get it cheaper than that. And so for the price of, like, let's say comic books are like $4. So with the price of 2 comic books, you're really getting 4 comic books. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a little bit thicker than normal. You see there, it's kind of like Batman Creature of the Night. And by the way, where is Batman Creature of the Night? I hadn't seen any more of it. Are they taking a break on it? But we're not done with that. They need to bring it back. Where's it at? So if you look at the cover here, it's pretty cool. You've got Swamp Thing. You've got the snow. A lot of detail. You've got the little boy. It makes you wonder what's happening here. And then you've got the writers here. I love that they put Wayne first, since it's his character. That was very nice of them. Now, if you go to the back of the book, this is what Marvel doesn't do. Now, they've done it a little bit here lately, but it's been kind of lackluster. They have a page right here kind of talking about Len Wein. And then back here, like, most of this section is catered to him. They have this cool page here with him and the characters that he created. And then if you keep going, they've got like this, the process of the sketch pages and how it was done and who made it. And then if you keep going further, they've got some sketches here of like the original art from some of the Swamp Thing books. Lots of detail. Master artist for another artist that died. So it's pretty cool. And then if you keep going, it has like the tribute page that they were doing. And then there's like a whole section here. I'm going to try to show you. It's a little bit confusing, but there's like a whole section here that is, it doesn't have the words, but it has like the original art and some of the stories from like the original Swamp Thing books, which is really cool. It's like, it's got him. It shows who the pencils and inks were, the colors and editor. Swamp Thing created by Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson. So there you go. Look, that's pretty cool. And it goes on for pages and pages. Got Solomon Grundy there, a bunch of people. So as we get into the book here, it's very fun. You get this page here, shows you Swamp Thing Winter Special. And then it cuts into like, the only thing that confused me is it cuts into like this radio of a football game. And I didn't really understand the significance of it. But it says, we're back on the radio. You're home for the Talk of the Saints. For those just tuning in, we're breaking down Sunday's game. A 42-14 victory over the struggling Gotham Knights. Now I want to start with what Knights quarterback Chris Campbell had to say in the postgame, because he had a real collapse out there in the third, fourth quarters. He was actually doing surprisingly well in the first half. They go into halftime tied. Then in the second half, Campbell goes 3 for 19, 6 picks. So, all right, let's listen to this. This is Campbell after the game. And then they start talking about what he had to say. And then we get to this cool part here where it starts these pages. And what it does is the snow actually starts hiding what the word bubbles are saying. You can't read them because the snow is so thick. You can just barely see them. And you see Swamp Thing like walking through the snow. So he's talking more about it. He says, I was on the ground looking up and I knew it was a monster. The monster got me. And so it's talking about a monster. It's, that's the significance of it. It's talking about a monster. It says, The Talk of the Saints, and it says, written by Tom King, art and cover by Jason Fabok. Both really, really nice guys. We get some great art right there by Jason Fabok. And then we continue on the story. And what has happened is he has saved this boy. But I'm sorry if I keep messing up the camera. It's very hard to hold this. He saves the boy, and basically he does this cool thing where he actually takes his hand off and uses his hand to start a campfire. He rubs his fingers together, and look how they do the art. They actually show his fingers rubbing together to make the friction to start the fire. They could just use a generic image, but they showed what was going on. The little boy's freezing. He makes him a fire. And they're talking, and Swamp Thing's having trouble. Swamp Thing's having trouble because the cold is interfering with his connection to the green, which is interfering with his memory. And so the boy is constantly having to remind him about what he's doing. He says they're running from the snow monster. He's trying to protect the boy from the snow monster. That was the first time he fought him. And that was significant. He says, that was the first time we fought him. And so a bear shows up. He has to fight the bear. And he tells the bear something very important. He says, when the snow melts, you will come to the green and I will find you. I will guide you. You have to take the longer path. And then he kills the bear. And he feels very bad about it. And then he actually uses the blood to warm the boy up, just like that creature on Star Wars where they used his insides to warm him. And so he's continuing on. Most of this is going to be them traveling, and he keeps forgetting, and the boy keeps having to remind him what they're doing. And so then they come upon all these bodies, people freezing in the snow. And he finds someone still alive, and he's like, please sir, let me help you. And so that's when the guy actually turns on him. Page messed up on me. That's when the guy actually turns on him and shoots him. Blows his head clear off. And then he starts talking to the boy, and he actually says he's going to kill and eat the boy. So that's when Swamp Thing comes up behind him, heals his head, and then says, sir, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to take the longer path. So he killed him, just like he did before, to save the little boy. And he told him the same thing that he told to the bear. Now this is very neat because it shows them, it shows what's going on. It shows them going on the path. It shows them walking over great distances, traveling a long ways, and it starts to weigh on Swamp Thing. They actually have a snow slide, and it causes the boy to get injured. And now he has frostbite on his foot, and he actually has to cut the boy's foot off to save him. So then he gives the boy some food, keeps him nourished. The Swamp Thing is really starting to get hurt here. He's starting to dry out a little bit. This is one of the first times that he collapses. He's getting weaker and weaker. The boy keeps trying to help him. And he says, I cannot carry you anymore. He says, I don't understand. Are you okay? Say you're okay. And he goes, I cannot carry you because you are the monster. And we get this good picture here. See, this is the difference between them and Marvel. You can do a big picture like this and not waste space. So there's no space wasted. It's a grand design with a lot of snow and artwork behind it. If it was Marvel, it would be a generic 3D image with the characters just plotted on there and lots of wasted floor space. And he starts telling the boy, he says, look, it takes me years to get in this situation. So I know we've been walking for a long time, he said, and you're a boy. You're walking in the cold with me for years. You would be dead by now. He says, so now I'm able to remember because I kept trying to make myself forget. I didn't want to believe that you were the monster. And he says, to bring back the green, you have to kill the monster. And so he's talking with the boy, and the boy's like, no, I don't want to go. He says, you fought the snow monster several times. He says, you are a child, could be my child. I do not want to hurt you. I want to help you. It is all I want, which is why, that is why, isn't it? And he starts, it's a really sad moment because the boy's like, I'm strong, I'm still alive, but just because of you, you protected me, you kept me warm. He says, I know I didn't remember it all, but I remember, boy. I remember caring for you deeply. You make me feel I am good. And so that's when he says, that though I try so hard, I am like you now, always, the monster we are. And the boy's like, no. And so he says, the monster. And so he done something to the boy. I don't know if he stabbed him or crushed him or something of that manner, but you hear the noise and the boy dies, and then the boy melts like the snow. And that's when it shows the progression, very good progression here, of Swamp Thing actually growing back into the green. And then you've got more dialogue from the radio station, and Swamp Thing continues into the green as it progresses and grows. And he goes back into the swamp as the swamp is growing every page. So I thought that was really cool. And then we get this cool thing here where they start talking about the original Swamp Thing page. Very interesting, I like it a lot. But all in all, this story was very, very fun because, like I said, it's a one-off and it doesn't have to go into any kind of other continuity. But it's so fun because this is like a story almost like of the Wendigo and Swamp Thing, except for the Wendigo is the boy. He is actually the evil, and it doesn't explain a whole lot of stuff as to why he's there, so that makes it very interesting as well. It's like, why was this boy doing this? And it explains a little bit about his father and his father being mean to him. And he talks about his father is not around anymore, and the monster came and took him, and I feel like he lashed out at his father and killed his father. So Swamp Thing was actually doing him a favor because this boy was broken. At this point he was a murderer, and his psyche was all over the place, and he lashed out anytime someone came against him. And that just didn't need to be around. That boy was very dangerous, and he was broken and hurt, and he needed to be resting in peace. And so Swamp Thing did the most merciful thing he could think of, but he stayed with him for so long, and it's just such a deep and interesting story. And I really like the artwork and the detail in it. If you go in very close, Jason Fabok has absolutely done great. He even did great, like, how do you draw someone that is a plant person and give them this kind of physique, almost like a human being, and not make it look goofy? I mean, it's very, very fun. And he actually shows the progression of him drying out, which was very good, becoming weaker, and back when he was stronger. He has that classic Swamp Thing look. And you actually get a little bit of action because it has him fighting the bear, it has him fighting the man, a little bit of things like that. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. It's almost like a horror story, but it's a horror story that has a good message at the end. And it shows how Swamp Thing is a very caring individual, not just for the swamp, but also for humans. But I definitely suggest picking this up, especially for $8. And I hope you liked the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I got some more videos I'm going to do. But thanks for watching, guys. And definitely get this from Tom King and Jason Fabok. These are two great, great guys right now in the industry. Jason Fabok is awesome. He's a Christian individual. He's not afraid to tell people about it. And he's just so likable. But alright, guys, I'll talk to you later. Underground Geek out.